everyone. In this video, I'll be talking about pollinators. Pollinators are also known as pollinating agents. These are the agents which helps in the process of pollination. These transfer the pollen grain from one flower to the another. Pollinating agents are of two types. The first type is abiotic. In this we have non-living pollinating agents. And next is biotic. In this we have living organisms. The examples of abiotic are wind pollinators and water pollinators. In biotic we have animals, we have insects, bats, birds, honeybee, etc. Let us discuss these two pollinating agents one by one. So let's start with wind pollinators. So first we'll learn about the characteristics of wind pollination. Characteristics of wind pollination. In this, the pollen grain should be light in weight, it should be non-sticky, it should be small in size, and its structure should be feathery. Wind pollination generally occurs in colorless flowers. For example, in case of maize. Now let us understand the characteristics of water pollination. Characteristics of aquatic or water pollination. In this we have two cases. For example, here the plant is aquatic, but the pollination it does is not aquatic. Right? Why? Because the flower is above the water surface. For example, in case of water lily and water hyacinth. Next type is, here the plant is aquatic and the pollination it does is also aquatic. Here we have two cases. The first case is the pollination occurs on the surface, and the second is the pollination occurs under water. It occurs under water. In the pollination which occurs on the surface, here the example is Vallisneria, which is also known as hydrilla. Here the male flower pollens float on the surface and falls on the female flower which has a long stalk. The example of pollination underwater is Zostera, which is also known as seagrass. In this, the pollen grain is ribbon shaped and floats on the same level as of female flower. Here, the pollen grain has a special covering of mucilage. This prevents the wetting of pollen grain. Now let us discuss about the biotic agents, which are the living agents. Here we have two categories. First is insect pollination, and the second is the pollination which occurs by bats and birds. In insect pollination, there are certain special features such as insects generally attracted by color, by nectar and odor of the flower, the smell of the flower. Here the pollen grain should be sticky. For example, in case of flies, beetles, butterfly, wasp, ants, etc. Here flies and beetles, they generally pollinate the foul odor flowers. These pollinate foul odor flowers. Now next is the pollination by bats and birds. Here bats and birds, they generally pollinate the large sized flowers. Bats are attracted to dull flowers and birds are attracted to bright flowers. Bats generally need a strong odor flower and birds, they need no odor. They both need nectar to pollinate the flowers. Apart from these two insects, bats and birds, we have other agents also, such as we have garden lizard, we have gecko, we have lemur, etc. Now there are certain rewards for pollination, which ensures the regular visits of pollinators, such as there is nectar, there is edible pollen, and there is space for laying eggs. Here the example is the flower which is known as Amorphophallus. This is a 6-feet flower which is pollinated by beetles. And the next example is yucca plant, which is pollinated by moth. This is all about pollinating agents. If you have any question, you can leave a comment. Thank you so much for today and have a great day.